Have you ever felt a weariness so profound it clings to your very bones, a silent, creeping exhaustion that whispers, "Stop"? It's not just physical tiredness, it's a mental and emotional fatigue that prefers to conserve every ounce of energy, an invisible weight that paralyzes and blocks action. This is emotional exhaustion, a subtle yet powerful force that often goes unnoticed, masquerading as simple laziness. But what if we told you that understanding this very human experience could be illuminated by the animal kingdom? What if an unassuming creature, known for its slow pace and energy-saving habits, could hold a mirror to our own deepest forms of mental weariness? Join us as we explore the fascinating connection between human emotional states and the instinctive behaviors of the natural world, beginning with the quiet, deliberate pace of one of nature's most misunderstood residents. The feeling of being worn out isn't just about needing a nap, it's often a much deeper, more pervasive sensation that psychologists and researchers increasingly recognize as emotional exhaustion. Imagine waking up after a full night's sleep, yet feeling as if you've run a marathon. Your body might be physically rested, but your mind is heavy, sluggish, and profoundly reluctant to engage with the day. This isn't simply a case of being unmotivated, it's a profound depletion of your mental and emotional reserves, a state where the wellspring of your inner drive has run dry. This insidious state manifests in countless subtle yet impactful ways in our daily lives. Perhaps you find yourself staring blankly at your overflowing to-do list, feeling an overwhelming, almost physical resistance to start anything, even tasks you once genuinely enjoyed. Decisions, no matter how small, suddenly become monumental efforts. Should I make coffee or tea? What outfit should I wear? Each choice feels like climbing a steep hill, draining energy you simply don't have. You might experience a noticeable and disheartening drop in your enthusiasm for hobbies, social interactions, or even simple pleasures like reading a book or watching a movie. The very thought of engaging with others can feel utterly draining, leading you to withdraw and isolate yourself, preferring solitude to any social demand. Emotional exhaustion can also manifest as heightened irritability, a shorter fuse than usual. Small annoyances that you would normally shrug off become major frustrations, and you might find yourself snapping at loved ones for trivial reasons, only to be consumed by guilt afterward. There's a constant, nagging feeling of being overwhelmed, as if your internal battery is perpetually running on empty, struggling to power even the most basic cognitive functions. It's not about a lack of willpower, it's about a fundamental lack of capacity. This isn't a choice to be idle. It's a silent scream from your mind, begging for a pause, a moment to simply be without the relentless pressure to do. It's a heavy blanket of apathy that smothers initiative, making even the simplest actions feel like an insurmountable chore. This internal shutdown is a protective mechanism, a primal plea for rest that goes far beyond the need for physical sleep, signaling that your system is critically overtaxed. Now, let's turn our gaze to a creature famously associated with a slow, deliberate pace and often misunderstood as a symbol of laziness, the sloth. Far from being merely indolent, the sloth embodies an extreme and highly efficient form of energy conservation, a lifestyle dictated by its unique biology, diet, and environment. Imagine an animal that spends up to 90% of its life hanging upside down from trees, moving at an almost impossibly glacial speed of roughly 0.25 meters per second. This isn't just a preference, it's a finely tuned survival strategy that has evolved over millions of years. Sloths possess an incredibly low metabolic rate, the slowest of any non-hibernating mammal. Their primary diet consists of fibrous, nutrient-poor leaves, which provide very little energy, making every movement a calculated and precious decision. Their muscles are built for sustained grip and endurance, allowing them to hang effortlessly for hours, rather than for bursts of speed. Even their digestion is notoriously slow, taking weeks to process a single meal, extracting every last bit of nutrient available. This slow processing further dictates their deliberate movements, as they simply don't have the immediate energy reserves for quick actions. Their primary defense mechanism isn't speed or aggression, but an ingenious invisibility through stillness. Covered in symbiotic algae that help them blend seamlessly with their arboreal habitat, sloths become virtually undetectable to formidable predators like jaguars, ocelots, and harpy eagles. They prefer to conserve energy by remaining motionless for extended periods, sometimes for hours on end, becoming almost part of the forest canopy. Their entire existence revolves around an unparalleled economy of movement, economy of metabolic processes, and economy of energy expenditure. They move only when absolutely necessary, and even then, with a profound sense of deliberate, unhurried purpose. The sloth, therefore, embodies a deep, instinctual wisdom about conserving vital resources, choosing to remain still and blend in rather than expending precious energy on rapid, potentially risky actions that could compromise their survival. The parallels between the sloth's intrinsic behavior and our experience of emotional exhaustion are remarkably insightful and profound. Just as the sloth meticulously conserves its limited energy by moving at an almost imperceptible pace due to its low-calorie diet and slow metabolism, the emotionally exhausted human instinctively pulls back, seeking to minimize all forms of energy expenditure. When we're running on empty emotionally, our default mode shifts dramatically to something strikingly akin to the sloth's economy of motion. Think about it, the sloth's deliberate, almost static movement is a direct evolutionary response to its low-energy diet and metabolic constraints. Similarly, when our emotional and cognitive reserves are severely depleted, our capacity to digest or process new information, navigate challenges, or engage in social interactions shrinks dramatically. We become sluggish, not out of a conscious choice to be idle, but out of a profound physiological and psychological necessity. The external world, with its relentless demands and rapid pace, feels utterly overwhelming, much like a vast, exposed clearing for a sloth trying to cross to the next tree. The mere thought of facing complex tasks or engaging in lively conversations can feel like an insurmountable effort. Furthermore, the sloth's primary defense mechanism of stillness and blending in powerfully mirrors our human response to emotional overload. When we are emotionally drained, we often instinctively withdraw, becoming less visible, less vocal, and less engaged. We might cancel social plans, avoid new projects, or simply shut down mentally, hoping to become invisible to the demands that feel too heavy to bear. This isn't laziness, it's a fundamental protective mechanism, a deep-seated instinct to conserve what little emotional and mental energy remains. Just as the sloth prioritizes survival through stillness and minimal exposure, we prioritize our emotional survival by drastically reducing our output and engagement. The pervasive drive to do nothing when emotionally exhausted is not a moral failing, it's a powerful biological and psychological call for profound rest, a desperate attempt to avoid further depletion, much like the sloth's slow, deliberate movements are a testament to its deep-rooted drive for enduring survival. From a scientific perspective, the striking connection between the sloth's energy-conserving behavior and human emotional exhaustion can be rigorously explored through insights from neurobiology, physiology, and evolutionary psychology. In humans, chronic stress and prolonged emotional demands lead to significant, measurable changes in brain chemistry and function. Specifically, our prefrontal cortex, the brain region primarily responsible for executive functions like decision-making, planning, problem-solving, and impulse control, can become profoundly fatigued. When this critical area is overtaxed, our ability to initiate action, maintain focus, and regulate our emotions diminishes significantly, leading directly to the feelings of apathy, disengagement, and cognitive paralysis so characteristic of emotional exhaustion. Key neurotransmitters like dopamine, which are intrinsically linked to motivation, reward, and pleasure, can become depleted, further dampening our drive and enthusiasm for life. Consider the biopsychosocial model of stress. When our internal resources, emotional, cognitive, and physical, are consistently outmatched by unrelenting external demands, our body enters a state of chronic alarm, pushing us towards exhaustion rather than adaptive response. This isn't just a simple fight or flight mechanism. It's a more insidious freeze or shutdown response, where the system intuitively conserves energy to prevent complete collapse and irreversible damage. This human physiological response is remarkably analogous to the sloth's metabolic adaptations. Sloths, over millennia, evolved with incredibly low-energy diets, and consequently, their entire physiology adapted to operate on minimal energy. Their exceptionally slow metabolism means they literally cannot afford bursts of high-intensity activity. Every movement must be economical. Similarly, an emotionally exhausted human isn't lazy in the sense of deliberately choosing not to work or engage. Rather, their internal metabolism for processing emotional and mental stimuli has slowed down drastically. The brain, acting as a highly efficient and self-preserving system, reduces its output, prioritizing only the most essential functions and cutting back drastically on anything that feels like an excessive energy drain. This is a powerful, deeply ingrained survival mechanism, much like how a computer automatically enters power-saving mode when its battery charge is critically low. It's a clear, unmistakable signal from our brain and body that our capacity for action, engagement, and emotional resilience is severely compromised, necessitating a prolonged period of significant rest, recovery, and reduced stimulation to avoid deeper, more damaging states of depletion and burnout. Let's illustrate how this sloth-like response to emotional exhaustion subtly yet profoundly plays out in our everyday lives, often mistaken for mere lack of effort or motivation. Imagine Maria, a highly dedicated project manager who used to thrive on complex challenges and tight deadlines. After months of relentless pressure, demanding clients, and unresolved team conflicts, she starts to feel a profound, inexplicable weariness. One Monday morning, she stares at her overflowing inbox. Normally, she'd dive right in, prioritizing and delegating with efficiency. Now, she opens an email, reads a few lines, then clicks away, feeling an almost physical, overwhelming resistance to process the information. It's not that she doesn't care about her work or her responsibilities, it's that her brain simply can't engage with the cognitive load. Like a sloth trying to move quickly across open ground, her mental gears grind to a halt. She might spend an entire hour just trying to compose a simple, two-sentence reply, experiencing a disproportionate amount of mental effort for such a seemingly trivial task. Her usual sharp focus has dissolved into a pervasive brain fog. Or consider João, who used to be the life of every party, known for his quick wit and infectious enthusiasm. After a particularly prolonged period of family crisis and caregiving responsibilities, he finds himself consistently turning down invitations. His friends might comment that he's become antisocial or lazy. But for João, the very thought of making small talk, of expending the emotional energy required to be on and engaged in social situations, feels utterly overwhelming, almost painful. He'd rather stay home, alone, even if he's not actively doing anything productive. He just needs to exist in a low-energy state, undisturbed and undemanding, much like a sloth clinging motionless to a tree branch, simply being without any external demands or expectations. The energy required for even minimal social interaction feels like a monumental, exhausting climb. Another common example is the usually diligent university student, Anna, who finds herself inexplicably unable to start her crucial final assignment, even though the deadline is ominously looming. She sits at her desk, opens her laptop, stares at the blank document, and then, nothing. Hours pass. She feels a rising tide of guilt, anxiety, and frustration, but the inertia is simply too powerful to overcome. This isn't procrastination born of distraction or choosing to do something more fun, it's a profound inability to initiate a freeze response. Her brain is signaling that it's too depleted, too exhausted to engage with the complex cognitive demands of research, structuring arguments, and writing. Her system has entered a protective shutdown, mirroring the sloth's deep-seated instinct to conserve energy by remaining still and unresponsive to perceived threats or overwhelming demands. These aren't choices of idleness or a lack of character, but rather, profound consequences of an emotional and mental fuel tank running critically, alarmingly empty. Understanding that a sloth within, when we experience emotional exhaustion, isn't about finding an excuse for inaction. It's about gaining profound self-awareness, fostering deep self-compassion, and embracing a more holistic view of our well-being. Just as the sloth's remarkable slowness is a perfect and essential adaptation to its unique environment and biological constraints, our own periods of low energy, apathy, and inertia are often critical signals from our highly complex human systems. They are telling us, unequivocally, that our mental and emotional resources are critically depleted, that our current pace is unsustainable, and that we desperately need a different approach to navigate our lives and ensure our survival. What profound lessons can we truly learn from this fascinating and often overlooked connection? Firstly, we can internalize that the urge to do nothing when emotionally drained is a primal, perhaps even an ancient evolutionary, response. It's our body's innate wisdom forcing a necessary pause, a period of profound emotional and cognitive recuperation. Instead of fighting this inertia with guilt, self-criticism, and relentless pressure to push through, we can learn to listen to it with kindness and understanding. Recognizing this internal sloth mode allows us to be far kinder to ourselves, to acknowledge without judgment that our capacity is temporarily diminished, and to adjust our expectations accordingly, both for ourselves and from others. Secondly, this perspective encourages us to radically rethink our modern obsession with constant productivity and relentless busyness. In a world that perpetually demands more, faster, and always, the sloth offers a powerful, countercultural reminder of the profound power of conservation and mindful deceleration. Sometimes, the single most productive thing you can do for your long-term well-being and ultimate capacity is to simply exist, to reduce external stimuli, to step away from demands, and allow your internal battery to slowly and fully recharge. This doesn't mean becoming permanently sloth-like, rather, it's about acutely recognizing when your system needs a deliberate, unhurried pace, a true rest day for your mind and soul. By deeply understanding this deep-seated biological and psychological need for rest and profound recovery, we can develop far healthier coping mechanisms, build authentic resilience against future stressors, and ultimately, live lives that are more authentically aligned with our true energetic capacities, rather than constantly battling against them. It's a compelling call to honor our own inherent limits, to appreciate the quiet wisdom of stillness, and to nurture our well-being with the same deliberate, respectful care that nature bestows upon its most unique and perfectly adapted creatures. So, the next time you feel that deep, silent pull towards inertia, that profound weariness that whispers, "Stop," take a moment. Don't immediately judge it as laziness. Instead, remember the sloth. It's not a sign of weakness or a personal failing, but perhaps a vital, protective message from your own overloaded, wisdom-seeking system. What if, by truly understanding and honoring this inherent connection, this sloth within, we could learn to embrace these moments of necessary pause, allowing ourselves to slow down, truly recharge, and ultimately, find our most sustainable, fulfilling, and authentically energetic rhythm in this relentlessly fast-paced world. It's a challenge to redefine what productivity truly means, starting from within.